how do we go about announcing to everyone that we are foolish? To ensure that whenever it comes to a matter we are naive about or we don't know about, we observe silence. And whenever you begin to listen to so many people who are in mental disorders, distress, depression, narrating their audios, you begin to detect a foolishness. Every person who makes a step without doing due diligence concerning any matter of life to say later, I wish I knew, even if he's a professor, is a fool. Now, that is now being a compound fool. Welcome to Nuggets of Wisdom with me, Dr. Nzomo AK. This is a third episode. I'm addressing on the human mind, matters of mental health. Last episode, we saw the four major functions of the human mind. The first episode, we were dealing with how mind relates with emotion, with and the willpower. This that episode, I want us to lodge deeper and talk about now something that is called wisdom. Wisdom is something that many people don't understand how it relates with the knowledge, understanding, and all that. Wisdom, actually, in the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, verse 7, Solomon said, wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, seek wisdom, and with all you are getting, get understanding. Generally, the general definition we have for wisdom actually is mental application of knowledge. But my deep study of scriptures have made me differ a bit with that view, because actually wisdom has got 3 levels from the Holy Scriptures, which is actually the ultimate authority. There are 3 levels of wisdom, and the divining wisdom as mental application of knowledge, that is just one level of wisdom, as I'm going to tackle the 3 levels of wisdom and the foolishness in this third episode. Now, as I've come up with authentic divination, which seems actually to cut across the 3 levels, and I've divined wisdom as the ultimate tool that helps mankind solve problems before they arise. Wisdom is the ultimate tool that helps mankind solve problems before they arise. As we now look at the 3 levels of wisdom and the foolishness, you will find that divination now quite authentic. The first level of wisdom, and that is still of foolishness, because wisdom is the opposite of foolishness, is actually what Solomon brought in the book of Proverbs, chapter 18, verse 15. It says in King James Version, the prudent man getteth the knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeketh the knowledge. Revised Standard Version says, an intelligent mind acquires knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. Therefore, the first level of wisdom is not application of knowledge. It is knowledge acquisition. It is acquisition of knowledge, not application. Because you cannot apply what already is non-existent in your mind. You cannot apply knowledge that you don't have. Therefore, the first level of wisdom is actually acquisition of knowledge. Whenever you hear somebody say, I wish I knew, they are, in other words, telling us that they are foolish. Because we are told information is power. They are not telling us why they did not consult widely and broadly, why they did not give meticulous attention to details. Believe you me, there are so many people who are behind the bars, who are inmates and or convicts, because of actually signing documents they never verified what they were signing. And actually some of them even are graduates from university. We have so many people actually who ended behind bars because of purchasing something, either a phone, they without doing what is called due diligence. There are so many people who are even bright, with the good academic credentials, good academic career, but they are crying in marriage because they did not do due diligence concerning a marriage partner. Everything in this world actually is calling for knowledge, requires us to know. We don't have monopoly of knowledge. One thing that I would like to mention to you, my viewer, because we are exploring life, we are exploring the reality of life, is that so many human beings don't like truth. That is art level. The art level of so many human beings rebels against the truth. And that is a condition in the first episode I called a condition of a stone of heart, a stony heart. These people who are stubborn are people who even generally they underrate issues. They don't do due diligence. They don't take a caution. They are not afraid of stress. They just do things reluctantly, and they make so many mistakes along the way. And you know, as I always state, life itself is very practical. It will never be synonymous with the fantasies. If you succeed to dodge a fact in life, you don't succeed in dodging failure. So when we are talking about mental health, I would like us to understand that mental disorders don't fall from blues, as we saw in the first episode. There is a difference between being given analysis of how the world is sinking in stress, depression, and mental disorders, how human beings are being mentally challenged, how they are confined in mental asylum. That is one thing. And there is also another thing of now the prescription. How are we going to deal with all this? How are we going to deal with those people who are suffering from mental ailments? But actually, the key thing to focus is how can we mitigate this? How can we deal with the root cause of all this? Because my own study of the human behavior and what the Word of God talks about the human mind is that the major cause of mental disorders is foolishness. Before I launch into the 3 levels of foolishness, how it is applicable in the human circles, it is foolishness. Now, the first level is this issue of people not willing to acquire knowledge. You see, everything in this life, whatever becomes a personal concern, cannot be underrated. Because I stated in the first episode, if it does not satisfy your will at the end of the day, whether it is a marriage, whether it is a business, whether it is a school you are looking for your child, whatever it is, whether it is a vehicle you purchased or it is a house we are constructing, so long as it has not satisfied your will, it has not met your expectation, definitely it will hurt your feelings. When it hurts your feelings, definitely the weight of your feelings goes to the mind. That is a fact. So it is our responsibility to be willing now to invest in the mind with whatever becomes a personal concern. Nobody has monopoly of knowledge, and you cannot be clamoring to know everything in this life. That is not possible. It is what becomes a personal concern. You don't need to know which fundi is the best for painting, which is the best in mabati, colored mabati, and actually you will be doing construction 10 years to come. It is when now that thing becomes a personal concern, that is when you need to invest in your mind to know what is required where, who is the best to do what, so that now the outcome of that thing will bring joy and happiness to you. So that is where now due diligence is required. And King Solomon said in Ecclesiastes chapter 10 verse 3, when a fool walketh by the way, his wisdom faileth him, and he saith to everyone that he is a fool. How do we go about announcing to everyone that we are foolish? It is only when we are trying to address a matter we don't have knowledge about, or we are trying to speak about an issue we are not an authority about. as I've stated, nobody has monopoly of knowledge. If you are a professor in a certain field, for example, in physics, and you study before Form 1 students and you want to preach, and actually you don't know which book comes after Colossians. You don't have that just skeleton knowledge of the Bible. You see even some Form 1 students laughing at you because they know the Bible than you. So you are telling them you are a fool. How come you want to address an issue you are not an authority about? You are telling people you are foolish. So it is wisdom to ensure that whenever it comes to a matter we are naive about or we don't know about, we observe silence. And we admire those people who are authorities on that area. That is wisdom. And that goes with the first level of wisdom, which actually we have seen in Proverbs 18:15, that an intelligent mind acquires knowledge. The ear of the wise seeks knowledge. Whatever becomes your personal concern, make sure you acquire knowledge. The Swahili people tell us, aulizaye si mjinga. He who inquires is not a fool. A fool is that a person who enters into a vehicle without asking whether you are going to pass by a certain route. If you have a vested interest with a certain route, you have to consult. Is this vehicle passing by that route? A fool is that a person who enters a vehicle without inquiring about the fare. Then when the conductor is asking for money, you start asking, is it not 100? This is not your vehicle. Why not consult before you enter? Everything that now concerns you, it is wisdom to make sure you consult. Consult widely and broadly. Give meticulous attention to details. Don't receive a call from somebody you have known for 2 days and you are going to a bash. This is how we are losing so many in this generation. Even grand university students, you hear somebody is dead, and that is called the death of a fool. In the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7, verse 17, be not overmuch wicked, neither be thou foolish. Why shouldest thou die before thy time? If you take a step, you have left your parents at home, they love you very much, but you are going to meet somebody you don't know very well. You are going to indulge in a matter you have not done due diligence. That is called foolishness. That is not a responsibility of your church. That is not a responsibility of the government. That is not a responsibility of your parents. That is called a personal discretion and a personal responsibility. It is wisdom. And whenever you begin to listen to so many people who are in mental disorders, distress, depression, narrating their audios, you begin to detect foolishness. Maybe it is marriage. Try to interrogate them, how they ended in that marriage. Maybe it is a business. Maybe it is a deal that has gone sour. Maybe it is somebody who has been duped in a pyramid scheme. Maybe it's people who have gone abroad looking for employment and they are dumped in an airport somewhere. You see, all this is because human beings don't want to slow down their concerns. No matter how tough life is, actually, you cannot dodge a fact. We need to learn how to slow down our concerns in order to acquire knowledge, in order to do due diligence. Every person who makes a step without doing due diligence concerning any matter of life, to say later, I wish I knew, even if he's a professor, is a fool. And that is from the position of the Holy Scriptures. That is the first level of foolishness, the first level of wisdom. They go concurrently, foolishness and wisdom, from the Holy Scriptures, which is actually the ultimate authority. That is called knowledge acquisition. There is second level of wisdom, and that is where now we get the divination that wisdom is application of knowledge or mental ability to apply knowledge correctly. And as we get to that, you have to actually confirm my divination that wisdom is the ultimate tool that helps mankind solve problems before they arise. Because as you have seen the first level, if actually you know so and so is against me to marriage, and you have discovered that is of a weird character, is smoked weed, definitely you are going to walk away. You are not going to get married to that person because you have done due diligence. Then you have solved the problems of crying yourself to sleep in the night before they have arisen. Problems of being slapped, in the night, problems of going without a supper. You have solved those problems before they have arisen because you are not going to get married to that person. Wisdom is the ultimate tool that helps mankind solve problems before they arise. So you never say, I wish I knew. The same case applies now to application of knowledge. Now, if you don't acquire knowledge, we can say now you are foolish. But if you don't apply correctly what you already know, that is not justified to be called foolishness. That is where we now begin to talk about a compound fool. Because now you cannot tell anybody, I wish I knew. Already you know. But it is now about application of what you know. And still from the Holy Scripture, which is the authority I use in life coaching, already we get this very clearly from the book of Judges, where the Philistines came to discover that there is a gentleman in the land of Israel, one Samson, who was really a terror, who was posing threat. And now, at the first level, they qualify to be wise human beings because they hired a lady in the valley of Sorek, one Delilah, to entice Samson so that they can acquire knowledge of the source of his divine strength. That is wisdom. Because unless they know the secret behind this matchless strength, there is no way they could tame him. So they hired Delilah. That is doing due diligence. And through Delilah, they actually succeeded. And they came to know that Samson was not shaved. And actually they proved it. When Samson was shaved, the 7 locks, actually he became an ordinary man. Then after displaying that wisdom of taming Samson, then the secondary level of wisdom, they proved to be very foolish. They proved to be now compound fools because they could not apply correctly that knowledge they acquired. So instead of concentrating their focus on the issue of hair on the head of Samson, they gouged out his eyes. That was unnecessary. Those are called humanistic gimmicks. The eyes of Samson had no connection with the divinity. And now that when he became a blind man, he began groping in the dark, they assumed they were done with this terrorist and they allowed the hair to grow again. That is what is called now compound foolishness. Because you have known when this gentleman has hair on the head that there is danger. And then now you are allowing the hair to grow again. And the one day they all gathered, actually, in the seven counties, those of Ekron, of Gadi, they all gathered dignitaries, all government officials in one big structure to see how a human being without eyes could play sport to them in order to celebrate their idol god that is Dagon, and for having given them victory over Samson. And that is the time we see Samson being in their midst. Now he told the lad who was helping him to show him the pillar that is the main pillar of that structure. And while leaning on that pillar, he prayed the shortest prayer ever answered in the Bible. He told God only this once: I pray, return to me this my power, so that I can avenge for this my 2 eyes. And because God does not break his word, that is, he talked about the Nazarite should not be shaved. But because now, when God looks in heaven, he could see Samson already had the hair. He is still a God of second chance and a God of mercy. Now he unleashed that divine power. And when Samson had the power had come, now he retied that pillar. And as he was committing suicide, He said, let me die with them. As he was committing suicide, it goes on scriptural record that those he killed only one time while committing suicide were many than those he had been killing in his lifetime. He killed all those people, including all government officials, just one huge massacre because of foolishness. They all died just one day. Samson died with them. But this is now behaving like compound fools, because when they acquired knowledge that the secret is in the hair, Samson did not need to be actually chopped his eyes. He needed only to be chained and put in a prison. And they didn't need to be put under an army officer. He needed to be put under just a small boy who does not know war, but he knows how to shave human heads. Every Saturday, the young man comes and tells him, sit well, Samson, and he shaves him. That way, they would have forever tempted Samson. That is simple. It is mental application to apply knowledge. That is actually the divination in public domain. Wisdom is actually correct application of knowledge. That is what we find. But we have seen this is secondary level, because you cannot apply knowledge that you have not acquired. The ear of the wise seeks knowledge. Proverbs chapter 18, verse 15. And a diligent mind acquires knowledge. That is the first level. Now, the second level, if you are not a compound fool, you should be able to apply correctly what you know. Because if now you mess, you will never tell anybody, I wish I knew. Definitely you knew. And this is where now this kind of stubbornness in human circles, already in their hearts, and the foolishness in their minds, is making so many people now fall into big mess in life, because so many of them are failing to apply what they already know. For instance, you see somebody is 21 years, has got a girlfriend of 19 years, and simply because when they get married, they are not violating the law of the land. So long as there is consensus, they are above 18, especially in the laws of Kenya. You see, that person, they choose to get married. But these people know, apart from the laws of Kenya, if they are above 18, they know there is what we call the laws of nature. Up to that level, they know as human beings, they need to eat in order to live. That is a law of nature. They know those who have contravened the law of the land and are behind the bars. The government has set a budget on how they should be eating when they are in prison in order to live. That is a bigger law. And these people know that the government has not set any budget for people who are not in state prison. It is our personal responsibility to budget on how we will eat. And the 21 years young man knows that he is not employed. He knows for over a year he has been challenged by paying a debt of only 10K. It is not his will. It is financial constraints. And while he is now wallowing in that quagmire, now he thinks he can factor another human being in the same equation. And he says, I'm married. Now 2 human beings want to eat, and there is no budget for him to eat comfortably, being one man. Now that is now being a compound fool. Because question is, if you cannot eat comfortably being one, how are 2 people going to eat? You have to tell us if you are not a compound fool. You have to tell everybody. Because this is now a personal responsibility. It's not about your parents. It is not about your pastor. It's not about your government. It is about your personal life. Because you belong to what we call Homo sapiens, a thinking man. So this is your life. And you have to be able now to tell us how you are going to eat, because there is no budget to give a one person a 3 decent meals. How are 2 people going to eat? That is how you see people confusing their lives. The way the Philistines were just massacred by Samson. You fail to apply correctly what you already know. You cannot say, I wish I knew. You knew you are not employed. This girl will not say, I wish I knew. She knew she's getting married to somebody who is not employed. That is how we are handling our life with the foolishness. And there is no way we are going to dodge what is called mental stress, depression, because now we are trying to dodge facts. And the fact is actually a tragedy. I always tell people, it is good to know how to address the root cause of a problem. When we are talking about mental health in terms of the way InfoTrack announced by the beginning of last year that actually 48% of Kenyan population are in distress, this is analysis. Even the ways medical practitioners are putting all their efforts to make sure at least they treat these people. That is called removing cobwebs from a house. Why can't we employ the wisdom of looking at this, where the spider is, and they kill the spider? If we kill the spider, the cobwebs will stop being formed. It is the wisdom of dealing with the root cause of problems. Why is this 21-year young man getting married? Why can't he give himself at least 4 years to at least build some financial muscle to be able to feed somebody's girl, to be able to feed a child? Why is he not now giving that meticulous attention to those details? And that is how we can deal with the root cause. And because nobody can violate our will, actually, if he chooses to go that route, even the parents cannot even challenge him. And that is how we find our own stupidity and the foolishness now landing us into a ditch in this life. Those people who have fleshy heart, Ezekiel chapter 11 verse 19, a heart of flesh, are people who don't want stress. So they take a caution in life. They consult widely and broadly. They give meticulous attention to details. Whenever it comes to application of knowledge, as I've tackled in my last episode, now, what is called reason? Engaging the mind into logical, rational, and the analytical thinking. They analyze situations logically. This is called wisdom. And those people now, you see, they are solving problems before they arise, because he knows when it goes this way, there will be this mess. When it goes this way, there will be this mess. So I need to give myself 5 years before I get married. That one is solving problems of somebody's girl coming to cry in your house by 4 p.m. There is no food, she has not eaten. You are solving those problems before they arise, because that girl will be eating in her parents' pot, not in your house. You are solving problems before they arise. And this is called wisdom. And unless as human beings, we choose to be wise, there is no way we are going to mitigate the skyrocketing rate of mental disorders. I don't see it happening so soon if we tend to be so stupid and we tend to be so foolish. There is that level of foolishness. Actually, beyond this, we enter into what is called now territory of insanity. We talk of mentally deranged. We talk of maniacs, people actually who are in mental asylum. The highest level of foolishness is when now we are talking of an idiot. When you use the word idiot for a foolish person or for a stupid person, you are not speaking the whole truth. Yes, the adjective stupid and the adjective foolish, they are synonyms. You can use either for each other. But when now you use that adjective stupid and the adjective foolish, now meaning a noun, idiot, they carry something called antiverb. Actually, they are called in linguistics degree antiverbs. You must add a word very. You say very stupid. That is a degree antiverb. Or you say utterly foolish. You add the word utterly. It's a degree. To add some degree to this, what you are calling foolish, what you are calling stupid. Now to measure, to be a synonym of that noun called idiot. You say it's a very stupid man. Now you are talking about an idiot. Or you say it's utterly foolish. Now you are talking about an idiot. How do we divine these people? Now, going back to the Holy Book, King Solomon gave an example of these characters when he was talking about foolishness. In the book of Proverbs, chapter 27, verse 22, it said, if this kind of a fool is put in a mortar, and we add some grains, and we take pistols and we begin to grind this fool, that foolishness cannot go away. When you have such kind of a human being, either as your husband or as your son, or you already have an idiot. Because if that person, when you put in a mortar, we add some grains, we begin to grind that person, the foolishness cannot go away. Now, you are not talking about a compound fool. You are talking about an idiot, somebody who is utterly foolish, somebody who is very, very stupid. Now, how do we get these people in the human circles? As we have seen in the last episode, human mind has got 4 major functions. And the first one I tackled, it is learning, which is knowledge acquisition. And I actually mentioned 2 main methods of knowledge acquisition or learning. That is teaching and reading. These are appropriate ways. And because they are costly, they will cost you either money, they will cost you time. And there's so many people, because they don't want to pay price, so many people don't want to commit themselves to acquire knowledge. But because life is very practical, now those human beings come to learn all their lessons through the best teacher. That best teacher is what is called experience. They will learn all lessons practically. And they will know that it is very painful to learn the hard way and very costly to learn through mistakes. So still, they end up learning. If you don't want to acquire knowledge concerning this person who you are getting married to, now you are going to learn him practically, being in his house and being pregnant. That is when you are going to learn what you are supposed to have consulted from the neighbors, to have consulted with cousins and all that, to have taken time to know that person, even from the former colleagues in school. What you are supposed to have learned now, you are going to learn it practically, every lesson. Now you are going to now realize it is very painful and very costly to learn the hard way and to learn through mistakes. Now, we say failing to acknowledge a mistake, learn from the mistake, and correct the mistake becomes a mistake of a different order. That is when we are addressing now learning through the best teacher now. Now, and at that point, it is when now we are talking about an idiot. Because if somebody now cannot acknowledge a mistake, cannot learn, glean a lesson from that mistake and correct that mistake, now it means if that person cannot learn through personal pain and sorrow, it means even if he's put in a mortar, we add some grains there and we take some pestle and begin to grind that person will still come out being too thick. Now we have got an idiot. Because humanly speaking, we all make mistakes. Nobody operates from the platform of perfection. But already every mistake we make in life, we must make sure we acknowledge it. We make sure we glean a lesson, then we correct it. We don't repeat our mistakes. So human beings who are repeating mistakes, now those people don't qualify to be called fools. They don't qualify to be called compound fools. Those people are simply idiots. And that is the advanced level of foolishness, because now you don't know how now to deal with such. Whether it is your son, he was now caught somewhere, you bailed him out of cell, having been beaten by mob, having done bizarre things, and actually less than 8 months is still in police cells. If you have such a person as a human being, call him a son, call him a daughter, call him a husband, already you are in trouble, because you have got an idiot in your territory. You are dealing with somebody who cannot learn through personal pain and sorrow. It becomes very, very an uphill task when now you are living with such kind of a person. Now, this is where now we need to be very careful. It doesn't matter your level of education. Anybody who is repeating mistake, whether you are a principal, you were interdicted because of some ABCD gross misconducts here, but TSC has shown you mercy, has transferred you in another county. If less than 2 years, the TSC will still receive complaints, the same allegations, definitely TSC has got an idiot. Because if you didn't want to remain being a principal, why can't you just resign? Why do you accept it to be transferred? Why not just step down? The same case applies to somebody being impeached as a governor. And he is just saved by Senate. And actually less than 2 years, he is still again in impeachment motion. If actually he didn't want to be a governor, he is supposed to have resigned the first time impeachment motion was commenced. He's supposed to be that gentleman to have just resigned. But the fact that he was saved by Senate, he went back, repeated the same mistakes. Now that county elected an idiot for a governor, because we are all human beings, whichever level we are, even if you are a professor, if you are repeating your own mistakes, definitely you are an idiot. And that's why the Swahili people came very clear. They told us, kufanya kosa sio kosa. Kurudia kosa ndio kosa. Just imagine you have a sister at Form 2 level. She has given birth. You extended your mercy to take care of her, to take care of the newborn baby, now this and that and this and that, under humanitarian ground, because Toera is human. Now we all understand. But if less than 2 years now, you see her be pregnant again, now that becomes troublesome. You have got an idiot. Yes, that becomes troublesome. It is disturbing, even to the parents. It is disturbing to everybody. This is somebody who has chosen to handle her life like a hooligan. And there is no way. This child needs food. This child needs education. This child needs health care. About 2 to 3 years ago, a lady at Mukuru kwa Jenga, it was in news, disappeared and left 3 children without support to take care of. It was in news. Just imagine when she got the first child. What meant her continue and get another child? What meant her continue get a third child? Even when we cry government help, there are areas where the government cannot help. That is not a responsibility of a government. If as human beings, if as citizens, if the populace does not do due diligence, does not handle their life responsibly, there are things the government cannot help. There are things even the church cannot help. There are things even your own clan cannot help. There are things even your own parents cannot help. It is called personal responsibility and personal discretion. The Kamba people have a say, kanate mwailui nikokoi. You see, this is those who cannot understand the language. Look at a chicken that narrowly escaped a Ningo's scratch. Even after 4 months, when that chicken hears movement, you see, look at the behavior, where that chicken is going to lie or hide. Look at the behavior. That is wisdom. But you see, people are repeating the same mistakes. Human beings who are called Homo sapiens are repeating the same mistakes day in, day out. This becomes very, very terrible in life. That is actually the advanced level of foolishness. If human beings actually were very sensitive, were honest with life, actually, I tell you, they could turn this world into a utopia, if not a veritable paradise. Actually, this is the advanced level of wisdom. Wise people don't even wait to learn through their own mistakes. Intelligent human beings learn through mistakes of other people. That is the advanced level of wisdom. When you see a young man of 21 years who has been observing the behavior of his father, a father who drinks is silly, impaired perception, staggering movement, slurred speech, and that young man understands, if this is how Oko can turn a human being into, I will never take Oko. That is a very intelligent young man, because he can see his father living hell on earth. The same case applies to smoking tobacco. He can see his father. 6 a.m. His blood is asking for actually cigarette, and he cannot afford it. That is living hell on earth. It takes intelligence, high level of intelligence, even without the gospel of Jesus Christ. Just in normal life, you learn through mistakes of people. And then you say, I'm not going to repeat this. You see your elder sister, who God bringing her, a very bright one, short-circuited her life and short-changed her destiny, dropping from education Form 2 level because she got pregnant. You are in class 8 and then you say, I'm not going to play games with the boys until I finish education, until I get employed. That is an intelligent girl. That is high level of intelligence. When you are talking about levels of wisdom, that is the advanced level, because we are surrounded by people who are making so many mistakes. HIV's scourge came in the 80s. Still so many people, even in university, they are contracting HIV. And you wonder, what kind of human beings are these? What is not happening in their mental faculties? This is disturbing. This is a cry shame. And that is why, actually, unless we choose to be honest with life, we choose to be honest with life, we choose to be humble, not stubborn at heart level, we choose to have a heart of flesh, not a stony heart, a heart that enables us to take caution, to invest in our minds, to make sure whatever becomes a personal concern, we consult widely, to make sure whenever we have acquired that knowledge, we take time, reasoning, engaging mind into logical, rational, analytical thinking to apply that knowledge correctly. And above all, we learn a lot through society, through former ed teachers, through former politicians, through former pastors. We learn a lot through what is happening in the human society. I tell you, we are yet to talk about mental disorders because we are not honest with life. It is my prayer that we choose to be very humble. We choose to be very honest with life, because life is very, very practical. It will never be synonymous with the fantasies. Those who escape reality into a world of fantasies and succeed in dodging facts, they will never succeed in dodging failure. This book, Born a Star, is 1 in a million. It is dealing with the human mind. A lot that I cannot tackle on this platform, you get it in this book, Embracing Mental Excellence, how you can be profoundly mentally. You get all that stuff from this book. And that is the first level of wisdom. An intelligent mind acquires knowledge. And we saw reading as one of the major functions of learning. An intelligent mind acquires knowledge. The year of the wise seeks knowledge. This book is available. The number below is still a WhatsApp number. Contact me wherever you are, already through that number. When you contact the number, you'll be guided on how to acquire a copy. Still, you can get ebook of the same through Amazon platform. This is Nuggets of Wisdom with the main Dr. Nzomo, aka the Bishop, Amazing Grace Portion Sender. Catch me next episode as we explore together the great mystery of life. Shalom.